Hello everyone. Today we'll discuss another concept in the field of sociolinguistics, and that is code switching. So let's learn in detail what is code switching in the area of sociolinguistics. Introduction to code switching. Code switching refers to the practice of alternating between two or more languages or varieties of language in a conversation. So it means that when you are interacting with someone or you are making a conversation and you change your language, you switch from one language to another, or if you switch from one variety of language to another one in an interaction, in conversation, so you are doing what? You are doing code switching. So code switching is a phenomena or a concept in sociolinguistics which refers to alternating from one language to another or from one variety of language to another in a conversation. But keep in mind that it is important that if you switch from one language to another or you switch from one variety to another, you alter your language. It's important that there should be the ability in you to speak two or more than two languages. Or you must have the ability to understand and speak two or more than two varieties of a language. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you, or it will be impossible if you are a monolingual. Right? But it doesn't happen like at individual level, but it happens at societal level, because if the person you are interacting or he and she doesn't have the ability to understand two languages or to understand two different varieties of the same language, so if you are switching, the person won't understand you. So this is important, right? So it's a key characteristic of bilingualism and multilingualism. What is the key? We are talking about code switching. That code switching is one of the key aspects of multilingualism and bilingualism. So what is bilingualism? The ability to speak two languages. What is multilingualism? The ability to speak more than two languages, or the ability to speak multiple languages. So code switching is influenced by context, social norms, and linguistic preferences. So why do we do code switching, or why we alter our language? It's because sometimes the requirement of the context, in which context we are, right? You are presenting a presentation, right? And there are audience, so some of the concept you might explain in English, right? One word, two words, right? And some of the concept might better you explain in Urdu. So it requires a context. Or social norms, because you are sitting in a party, okay, in a business meeting, okay, or like there is some ceremony, fine. So the social norms tells you, or the social norms compel you to switch or to alter your language, or it might be because of linguistic preferences, that which language you prefer to speak in, right? Now, bilingual and multilingual communities. Bilingualism, the ability to speak two languages fluently. If you are able to speak two languages fluently, it's not possible that you will speak two languages equally, but you will be able to speak two languages fluently. So you are fluent in two languages. So when you are fluent, it means that you also understand two languages. Multilingualism, the ability to use multiple language, and if you are able to use, or if you are fluent in multiple language, you understand and speak multiple language, so then you are multilingual. But again, it's not possible that in all languages that you speak or you understand that you will be equally proficient. It's not possible, right? So code switching often arises in communities where people speak multiple languages. As I told, that it's not at individual level, but it is at community level. If a community speaks two or more than two languages, so we can find their code switching. Like in Peshawar, inside the city, we see that people speak Hindko also and Pashto also. So when they are interacting, so sometimes they switch from Hindko to Pashto or from Pashto to Hindko. It's possible, okay, that if you are communicating with someone and you and that person also understand the same two or more than two varieties of the same, so you can also alter your dialect. So code switching often arises in communities where people speak multiple languages, and language choice depends on the social setting, right? In which social setting you are. You're at university, you're at cafeteria, you're in the marketplace, where you are. Sometime, okay, at home you might be using Pashto language or Hindko language, but when you are at a bus station, you are in the marketplace, so people in your surrounding, they speak Pashto. So you switch from Hindko to Pashto because you are already bilingual, or suppose you are already multilingual. So you switch from that language to another one. It's a requirement because might be that at home you speak Hindko, but in marketplace the people, they do not know or they do not understand or they are not fluent in Hindko. So perhaps, okay, because of the circumstances and the social setting, you shift from Hindko to Pashto. It happens. Excuse me. Or, for example, that at home you're speaking Urdu. Okay, but when you come out and you're going in a bus, you're sitting in a cafeteria, but the people, they are not fluent in Urdu, so of course you will switch from Urdu to Pashto language. It also happens with English language. So it depends on the social setting in which you are, that you switch, you alter your language. Reason for code switching. So there are multiple reasons for code switching. For example, to ensure understanding, that this is the one purpose. So choosing a language that the listener comprehends. As I told you, that you might be speaking English at home or at university. You're very well proficient. Okay, in English. But when you come to the marketplace, you're buying vegetables, you're buying some fruits, so might be the fruit sellers, they do not understand English, they do not understand Urdu. So you switch from English to Pashto, to their language. So this is also code switching because, and you think, okay, that if I speak English, so the person might not understand. So that's why, okay, that for better comprehension, you switch from one language to another one. Similarly, that social norms are also there. It's also one of the purpose, following the community linguistic rules. Okay, at university you are asked. In a classroom, sometimes I tell my students they do not speak Pashto. So outside of the classroom or university, they might speak Pashto. But as they get in the class or university, so I ask them, I compel them to speak in English. So because that is social norms. Okay, there's linguistic norms, the linguistic rules that you have to speak in English, not in Urdu or Pashto. The third purpose, that expressing identity, symbolizing affiliation with a particular group or culture. Sometimes it happens, you might be a Hindko speaker, okay, you might be a Pashto speaker, but when you come across and interacting with a person who is fluent or who favors, okay, linguistic preference, okay, that is to Hindko. Or for example, that at home you speak Pashto, but you are meeting a friend or someone who prefer to speak Hindko. So because of that person, you're doing what? You shift or change your language. So it's say like expressing identity, symbolizing affiliation with a particular group or culture. Right? So you want to symbolize with them. You want to, okay, respect their identity. That's why that you start speaking in their language, because you also understand you have the ability, okay, to speak both languages or several languages. But when it comes to the person that they feel easy, okay, they are comfortable with that language, so you start speaking in that language. Now, conveying emotions or emphasis, so using a different linguistic or dramatic effect. It also sometimes, okay, that we get angry, okay, or we tell a joke, fine, or there's an expression, we want to show our emotions and feelings, so we switch from one. You might be delivering a speech in English, okay, but sometimes you see that there might be some emotions you want to show to the audience, so you switch from one language to another. This is, okay, what they say, conveying emotions or emphasis, so using a different language for dramatic effect. Because getting angry, okay, that's in your the language that you are very well proficient, or that's your mother tongue. As I told in the beginning, that you might be bilingual, you might be multilingual, but you can't be proficient. You might be equally fluent in all languages. Okay, it's not possible. So in order to show your emotions and feeling, you alter from one language to another. So these are some of the reason and purposes of code switching. Why it hung, I don't know. Okay, so situational code switching. What is situational code switching? Definition: switching languages based on the external situation or sometimes external situation and context compel you to switch from one language to another. Example, in Surius, Italy, German is used at home, a local dialect within the village, and standard Italian is in formal setting. So situation tells you to speak in a formal setting the standard Italian, not the local dialect that is known as Soris. So language choice reflects the social function and symbolic meaning of the setting, because you're in a formal setting as a requirement of the setting. So according to situation, you switch your language. Example, Soris village. In Soris, northern Italy, German is spoken within the family. Okay, this is one language, one variety. So Sorian's dialect Italian is used informally in the village. We're talking about local dialect. Now, standard Italian is used in formal setting like school, church, and work. So situation tells you to speak in this language, and you switch from one language to another, or from one variety. In the case of here, we can say variety, from local variety to standard one. So this division reflects the cultures and social roles of each language. From local one, okay, that is spoken in Soris, northern Italy, and then we have a standard one that is spoken in school, college, or universities. Metaphorical code switching. So definition: using language to redefine the situation rather than responding, because you are redefining situation, not responding to it. For example, that a clerk in Norway uses a local dialect for casual greetings. For a casual greeting, a clerk in Norway using what? Casual, using local dialect, and switches to standard language for official business. When there's official business, so he switches from the local dialect to a standard language. This is what? This is called metaphorical switching. Similarly, that speakers manipulate language choices to convey subtle meaning or roles. In order to convey certain meaning or role, so you switch from one language to another. Symbolic function of languages. Languages symbolize different communities or social groups. So in order to show sympathy or symbolization with them, you switch from one language to another. Speaking a particular language can signify identity, tradition, or social status. If you're speaking Pashto, This is your identity, social status. And somebody comes, okay, to symbolize with you, so he or she starts speaking Pashto. This is called symbolic function. Example, in Kapur, India, languages maintain caste distinctions and culture identity. So there's distinction between the different caste and culture identity. Implication of code switching. Code switching highlights the complexity of human linguistic behavior. That how complex is language or the human behavior regarding to language. It shows how speakers balance societal norms and individual preferences. Sometimes that's your individual preferences, you switch from one language to another, and sometimes it is societal norms and rules, culture, that you switch from one language to another one. Understanding code switching helps in appreciating cultures and linguistic diversity. And we appreciate, okay, that people, they are diverse, not just their clothing, their color, their tradition, social norm, but they are also diverse in speaking different language than us. So, conclusion, we can conclude today's lecture that code switching is a dynamic and meaningful practice in multilingual society. As I told in the beginning, it's not possible in monolingual societies. It reflects social roles, cultural identity, and linguistic creativity. Studying code switching provides insight into language use and human interaction. Hello everyone. Today we'll discuss another important concept in the field of sociolinguistics, and that is code mixing. In my previous lecture, I discussed in detail what is code switching. So code switching and code mixing are relevant concepts in the field of sociolinguistics. But there also exist differences between code switching and code mixing. So in this lecture, we will discuss in detail what is code mixing, and I'll provide example from Pakistani languages like Urdu and Pashto language for better understanding of the concept of code mixing. Let's begin and learn what is code mixing. Definition. Code mixing occurs when fluent bilinguals switch between two languages within the same conversation, even without a situational change. So a situational change that is important for code switching. When you change a situation, so you change your language also, or you switch from one language to another. But in code mixing, it's not important that when you change situation, so you also change the language. So without a situational change, there is change in your language, and this change may occur based on lexical choice like vocabulary, phrases, sentences, etc. Right? So it says that because bilingualism and multilingualism is also a key feature for code mixing. If you are not bilingual or if you are not multilingual, then you cannot switch from one language to another, and then you can't do also code mixing. Excuse me. So it says that code mixing occurs when fluent bilingual switch between two languages. For example, you speak English also and you speak Urdu also, and you switch from Urdu to English or from English to Urdu. Or you speak Hindi and English and you switch from from Hindi to English, and from English to Hindi, or from Hindi to English. Right? So it occurs, and without a situational change. So unlike code switching, it happens for stylistic or expressive reason. It happens for what? For stylistic or expressive. You want to express yourself in a better way. or that might be for stylistic effect. You switch from one language to another rather than a change in context. So we learn that in code switching, when the context change, you are in one context, so you speak one language. You are in another context, so you switch from one language to another one. For example, you at home speak Henko language, but when you go to the market and everybody is speaking Pashto language, so you also understand, you also speak Pashto language. So you switch from Henko to Pashto language. So that is context change, situation change. But it does not occur in code mixing. In code mixing, you change your language from one to another one because of stylistic effect or because of for expressive reason. Because sometimes you can express yourself not in one language, so you adopt some vocabulary, some structure from another language in order to express yourself in a better way. So what is the purpose of code mixing? To convey nuance meaning where one language alone is insufficient. So sometimes you have words and you want to convey nuance meaning. Okay, the little bit differences in meaning. So that's why you switch from one language to another, because in that language might be your audience don't understand. So you switch from Urdu to English, or from Pashto to Urdu, or from Urdu to Pashto, or from English to Pashto, from English to Urdu, right? So it creates a linguistic cocktail. Now, what is linguistic cocktail? When you mix two languages. Cocktail means the mixture of something. So you mix two languages. Okay, some of the words you take from one language, and some of the words or some of one of the word you take from another language. It becomes linguistic cocktail. So by blending words and phrases from two languages. So what are the characteristics of code mixing? Random alteration between languages. So there is randomly you alter from one language to another. For example, you're doing a presentation, right? You are interacting with your friend. You are in a meeting, and that meeting is in Urdu language, but you insert some of the vocabulary from English language, or you insert some of the phrases from English language. So randomly it occurs. Follows sentence structure rules of both languages, right? If your base or dominant language, for example, is Urdu, fine, so you will follow Urdu sentence structure. And if your dominant or base language is English, so you will follow what? English language structure rule. But you will follow both language structure rules. Now, in Pakistani context or Pakistani speakers, this is the example, a very good example of code mixing. So we say that इस presentation में हम discuss करेंगे. You see, इस presentation में हम discuss करेंगे. So actually that you are mixing two languages. One is Urdu and one is English. So perhaps your dominant language is here Urdu one, right? You also understand English language. So इस में हम करेंगे. Three words are taken from Urdu language, right? And presentation and discuss, these two words are taken from English language. But we know that this presentation is given in a Urdu language, but mixing with an English one. So, customer performances को कैसे आइडेंटिफाई करें, You see ko kaise and kare. So even though this presentation is also in Urdu, but you are inserting English word. Customer performances को कैसे identify करे. It's an example of code mixing. और sales को increase करने के तरीके. Sales को increase करने के तरीके. So we are again mixing Urdu and English language. And marketing campaigns को optimize करने के tools. Usually, it became now our habit that whenever we speak Urdu, so we insert words from English language, right? So English that is used in Pakistan as a second language, it is understood widely in marketplaces and educational institute. So people insert words from Urdu language. Some more examples, challenges. Now, businesses को आजकल कई मुश्किलात का सामना है. जैसे, you see here the presentation that's in Urdu, but the word businesses that is of English. So instead of कारोबार, they use businesses. को आजकल कई मुश्किलात का सामना है. और for example, we say competition का बढ़ना, or we say changing market trends, right? Or we say budget constraints. Okay, so these words are totally English now. But they are used in Urdu presentation, like changing market trends, budget. This example, जैसे के competition का बढ़ना, changing trends, market trends, and budget constraint. Now, example of Pashto speakers in code mixing. We say, for example, that pade presentation ke bamunga behs wukdo. You see here, pade presentation ke bamunga behs wukdo. So presentation is an English word. Or we say that, for example, customer performances pejandal. So pejandal is a Pashto word. Customer performances pejandal. Or we say sale zyatulo lare chare. Or we say marketing campaigns optimize kawal. So kawal is actually Pashto word. Okay. And next, marketing campaigns optimize. These are English words. Design tips, code mixing example. So, for example, we say presentation, simplicity. So, we say pasas jod kari. Presentation, simplicity, pasas jod kari. Or we say bullet point, khulasa, or relevant usatai. Okay? Bullet point, khulasa, or relevant usatai. What? Presentation. Visual, or charts, pasama toga karkavi. Again, mixing of Pashto and English language. Solution, we say, for example, that in challenges का हल कुछ यूं है. Or we say research को improve करे. Or we say digital platform को utilize करे. Or we say efficient teamwork develop करे. So these are the example of code mixing. From Urdu to English or from Pashto to English. Now, design tips, code mixing example. For example, we say presentation के दौरान simple language इस्तेमाल करें. Or we say bullet point को मुख्तसर और relevant रखें. Or we say visual और charts का smart इस्तेमाल करें. So, what are the syntactic rules in code mixing? This is very, very important. Syntactic rules in code mixing refer to the grammatical rules and structure that govern how two or more languages are mixed within a single sentence. So, what kind of grammar you will use when you are mixing two languages in a single sentence or discourse? ensuring that the resulting utterance is syntactically acceptable and coherent to the speaker of those languages. Because if you are not following syntactic rules of both languages, so your sentences might not be coherent, or the person might not understand your sentences. So when speakers alternate between languages, code mixing, they tend to follow certain syntactic principle to maintain the structure of the dominant or base language, while embedding words, phrases, and clauses from another language. So these rules determine where and how mixing can occur within a sentence. So, for example, you are delivering a presentation in English language, right? So when you are inserting words from Urdu or Pashto language, so you will follow the syntactic structure of English grammar. And if you are presenting your presentation in Urdu language and you are inserting words from English language, so you will follow the syntactic structure of Urdu language. And if you are presenting a presentation in Pashto language and you are inserting words from Urdu language, so you will follow the syntactic structure of Pashto, because your base language is Pashto. Your base language is Urdu. Your base language is... So, you will see that which language is base for this conversation. Sometimes you speak in English language, so that will be a base language. And if you are inserting words from Urdu, so you will follow syntactic structure of English language. And sometimes you are speaking in Urdu language and you are inserting words from English language. So your base language is Urdu, not English. So you will follow the syntactic structure of Urdu language. For example, key points of syntactic rules in code mixing. For example, word order capability. Code mixing usually respects the word order of the base or dominant language. For example, Urdu, English. So here your dominant language is Urdu, not English one. So you will follow the syntactic structure of Urdu language. Mujhe assignment submit karni hai. So you see that the English syntactic structure is subject, verb, and object. And Urdu syntactic structure is subject, object, and verb. So here we are using the Urdu syntactic structure because Urdu is dominant or base language. Mujhe is subject. Assignment is object. Submit karni hai, this is a verb. Right? So submit, even it is an English word, but we can't say that mujhe submit karni hai assignment, because your dominant language is Urdu. If you say if you follow English syntactic structure, you will say mujhe submit karni hai assignment. It seems awkward. And if you say mujhe assignment submit karni hai, because you are speaking Urdu language, or Urdu is a base language and you are mixing English, so here you are using verb after the object according to the syntactic structure of Urdu language. So what order follow Urdu syntax? Or Pashto, because in Pashto we also use first subject, then object, and then verb. And in English we use first subject and then verb and then object. No, Pashto, English we say the report complete com. The is subject, report is object, complete com is a verb. So we can't say that the complete com report. If you say the complete com report, so it seems awkward. So you are going to follow the structure of Pashto language rather than English, because dominant here is Pashto one. Similarly, if you are, for example, speaking Urdu language, right? And instead of this, you say mujhe assignment submit karni hai, and you say that I have to submit an assignment. So you will follow, that is English language. You will say, I have to submit an assignment. You will say, for example, like I have to jama an assignment. You see, I have to jama, because jama करना ये एक वर्ब है यहाँ पर. सबमिट की जगह मैंने जमा इस्तेमाल किया. सो चूंकि हमारे पास इंग्लिश का स्ट्रक्चर जो है ना वो है सब्जेक्ट वर्ब ऑब्जेक्ट. आई हैव टू जमा दिस असाइनमेंट because you follow the English language structure then. Fine. Now, insertion of lexical atom. Single words, usually noun, verbs or adjective from one language are inserted into the grammatical structure of the base language. For example, Urdu, English, we say class के बाद meeting होगी. अब देखें ना, see here, class के बाद meeting होगी. So, class meeting, what is meeting? It is an object here. Class के बाद, it is used as subject. And होगी, it is a verb. So here, meeting जो है ना इसको as a object इस्तेमाल. So meeting is an English word inserted into Urdu sentence. Or Pashto English we say the office tazam. So the, it is subject. Office, it is object. Tazam, that is verb. So this here we are using Pashto syntactic structure. So office is an English word inserted into Pashto sentence. So this, okay, just insertion of word like noun, verb or adjectives. Phrase or clause mixing. Whole phrases or clause from another language are inserted into the base language without violating syntactic rules. For example, Urdu English, मुझे ये project complete करनी है before the Monday. So before the Monday is a phrase. It has been inserted into Urdu language. मुझे ये project complete करनी है before Monday. Or Pashto language, the problem ma hal karo before they arrived. The problem ma hal ko, problem is also English word. Hal karo before they arrive. So before they arrive, it's a complete phrase now. Consistency of grammar. Verb, subject and object are organized following the grammar of the base language even when foreign words are added. For example, English Urdu, वो assignment लिख रहा है. So assignment is what? English word. So वो is subject. Assignment is object. लिख रहा है is verb. So the Urdu grammar structure remain intact. Morphological adaptation. Words from one language are sometimes adopted to fit the morphology word form like tenses, suffixes, prefixes of the base language. Example Urdu English. मैंने finalize कर दिया. So मैंने, it is what? It is subject. Finalize is used as an object. कर दिया it's used as a verb. Finalize take the Urdu past tense structure. Pashto language, the report, submit com. So the is subject, report, object, submit com, verb. So submit aligned with the Pashto verb structure. So now we summarize today's lecture. Key point: code mixing blends languages within conversation for nuance expression, or to have stylistic effect, or to be expressive. Follow sentence structure rules with community specific variation. Question to consider: can you think of example of code mixing in your own community? How do social and cultural factors influence code mixing? So thank you so much. It was all about code mixing. If you have any question, please leave your question in comment section. Thank you so much.